Hello. I actually predicted Clemson to defeat Ohio State, but Clemson didn't defeat Ohio State. The referees defeated Ohio State. I actually picked Clemson to win, and I thought they were going to win by a large margin. When I saw Ohio State actually physically tougher, actually moving Clemson around, when I saw their game plan was better, their players were tougher, I was really surprised. I did not think this was going to be a game. I thought this was going to be, and if you don't believe me, I have a video before the game where I predict that. I didn't think this was very close. I thought Clemson was going to win, and I thought Clemson was going to win the title before I saw this game. Now I think LSU is, but Ohio State and LSU should be the real title game. I don't consider Clemson as the victor of this. Yeah, they're the victor, but the refs handed it to them. Okay, I think, the biggest bluff, the biggest blooper by the officials, obviously, was the scoop and score, and I'll cover that in another video. But right now, I wanted to cover that targeting call on Shaun Wade. That was not a good call. That was a horrific call, and that cost the Buckeyes the game. Not only would the Buckeyes have all the momentum, and it was fourth down, they were going to have to punt back to the Buckeyes, but they lost the services of a guy who's going to go in the NFL draft pick this year. So that was a huge call. And, Trevor Lawrence is saying things like that lit a spark, or he didn't say that. I forget what he said, but he was like, how that refocused. No. The refs refocused you after that. The refs are the ones that gave you that call, Trevor. Okay, that was a bad call. And we're going to go into the rules of targeting right now. I want to go into the rules of targeting. Okay, and someone said that targeting doesn't have anything to do with aiming, which is, that's a foolish thing to do, because when you target something, aren't you aiming for something? And I would target a weapon. Would I not be aiming my weapon? Of course. So, yes, aiming is part of it. I mean, it says right here, a note, under the official rules of targeting, targeting means that a player takes aim. Wade is 6 feet tall. Trevor Lawrence is like 6'6". You're saying that he aimed for his head? No. He was already in the form of the tackle before Lawrence even crouched down. So, no. And actually, targeting means that a player takes aim at an opponent for the purposes of attacking with forceful contact that goes beyond making a legal tackle or a legal block or playing the ball. Some indicators of targeting include, but are not limited to. Okay, well, none of that matter, That's all sound good. He didn't break any of those rules. Now it says some indicators of targeting include, but are not limited to, launch. A player leaving his feet to attack an opponent by an upward or forward thrust. Okay, to the contact in the head or neck area. That almost is always the targeting that is called. A player leaving his feet to attack an opponent by an upward thrust of the body to make forceful contact in the head or neck region. Okay, most the time, targeting is never called. Sometimes, rarely it is. But most time, targeting is not called if a player does not aim for another player's head and hits that head. If you aim for someone's stomach with your crown of your helmet, they don't call targeting most of the time. No, it's when you hit the head or the upper region. So launch. Wade didn't launch. Wade ran through. He ran through. Now, a crouch, followed by an upward and forward thrust and attack with forcible contact at the head or neck area, even though one or both feet are still on the ground. Well, he didn't do that. He didn't a crouch followed by an upward and forward thrust. He didn't do that. He was low, but he stayed low. And he wrapped up. And it's a good thing he wrapped up, because when he hit Trevor Lawrence tried to spin out of the tackle, if you look at it. And it's a good thing that Wade kept him, because he, kept contact with him and, wrapped him up, because he was able to drag him down, and then, drag him down with the help of Chase Young. So far it's not targeting. Number 3, leading with helmet, shoulder, forearm, fist, hand, or elbow to attack with forcible contact at the head or neck area. No. Trevor Lawrence is 6'6", Wade is 6 feet. If he didn't leave his feet and he's running toward Trevor Lawrence, and Trevor Lawrence lowers into the crouch after Wade is already making his descent upon Trevor Lawrence, he is not trying to attack him with forcible he is not leading with his helmet to attack with your head or neck region. He's not doing that. That's the forcible contact. He's trying to do the forcible. To attack with forcible contact. He's attacking with forcible contact to the torso, not the neck or head region. So far, we don't have any targeting by the letter of the rule. Now, this is where the targeting is. This is the only place it is. And lowering the head before attacking by initiating forcible contact with the crown of the helmet. Now, I'm going to go lower. It says, and I'll go back to that, but it says the gist is that hitting a defenseless player in the head or neck is illegal. Well, Trevor Lawrence was not defenseless on that play. Actually, Trevor Lawrence saw Wade coming. And you know what's funny? As Trevor Lawrence saw Wade coming, now the crown of your helmet's not the top of your helmet. It is the top of your helmet, but by definition, it's anywhere above the face mask to the top. So it's above the face mask to the top. So it's not just spearing somebody, but it's the top here. And what's funny, it's not funny, it's actually horrible, but it's not that horrible. It's not tragic. It's not like someone died or anything, okay? But it's still really unfair. Okay, this is the thing. As Trevor Lawrence had the ball, he saw Wade coming. He was not defenseless. I said earlier that he had like a running back. Well, he wasn't the running back. He was in the pocket, but he held the ball like a running back, and he stood like a running back, and he had the ball, and he got lower the more Wade came. And guess what he did? He actually turned his helmet into Wade. By the letter of the law of targeting, by the absolute letter, he was going forward and he actually hit Wade. Look at the reviews slowly. By the letter of the law, and don't quote the letter of the law to me, because by the letter of the law, guess what? Trevor Lawrence committed targeting also. Why didn't he get ejected? He hit Wade. Wade was coming in. Trevor Lawrence was going forward, and he hit him he lowered his head too. Well, obviously Trevor Lawrence didn't commit targeting because it wasn't forcible contact. Who's to argue that? Anyway, yeah, I was just kind of joking about Trevor Lawrence committing targeting, but he did hit Wade. And the thing is that the spirit of the rule is to protect defenseless players and to prevent concussions. Trevor Lawrence was neither defenseless nor was Trevor Lawrence. It was his own fault he got hit in the head. Wade is coming in to stop Trevor Lawrence getting this first down. He's not trying to dive at him, and he's not thinking about good or bad tackling techniques. He's trying to wrap him up so he gets him, but he wants to get there as soon as he can, so he dashes there. He doesn't launch on him. Yes, by the letter of the law, he lowered his head before attacking, and he made forcible contact with the crown of his helmet. He did that. Trevor Lawrence hit Wade with the crown of his helmet, and he went forward Was it forcible contact? Well, actually, forcible contact, if you're able to move just a little, that's how you define forcible contact. You see what we're saying? You have to get into forcible contact. And you can argue, well, if you can just move a grain of sand, but sure forcible to that sand particle. Do you see what I'm saying? How obtuse this argument is? Guess what? I just watched the Florida game against Virginia tonight. How many players do you think hit the other player with their face masks, above their face mask to the top of their head? How many times did that happen? Oh, pretty much every play. You don't have to have the ball and have targeting against you. Linemen can have it done. How many of those happen all the time? We're not talking about launching. We're not talking about hitting defensive players. We're just saying, how many times during a normal football game do players hit each other with the crown of their helmet on not the head parts? Or even the head parts if it's not their fault, but the players on defensible players. It happens all the time. But do they get ejected all the time? No, because you wouldn't have a football team out there. Everybody would be ejected. The offensive line and the defensive line. How many times do you think they hit each other with the crown of their helmet? Almost. How many times do you think running backs hit players with the crown of their helmet? Often. Yet J.K. Dobbins or Etienne didn't get disqualified from the Fiesta Bowl game. Do you see how inconsistent that rule is? So yes, by the letter of the law, just on that one case that no one hardly ever enforces, yes, Wade committed that. Should he have been ejected? No way. For a parallel, that's like me driving a car and the speed limit is 50 miles an hour and I go 51 miles an hour and a cop pulls me over and he gives me a ticket for going 1 mile per hour over. Does that happen? No. Especially that same cop lets 99 other people go, but then he gets me. Do you think I would feel discriminated against? Do you think I would think that's unjust? Even though I did technically break the law. But it's a law that everyone's breaking. It's a law that that cop has chosen not to enforce. The referees don't enforce when you hit the crown of the helmet and you don't launch and you don't hit a defensive player, but if you just hit the crown of the helmet during a normal tackle or a normal play, which happens so many times every football game, you have no case. The only reason it was a head-to-head was because Trevor Lawrence lowered himself. And if you look at the replay in really slow motion, and I did this, Trevor Lawrence saw Wade coming. He prepared for it. He prepared for it. He didn't turn away. In a way, it's like, a batter at plate who steps on the home plate just to get hit by the pitch because he knows he's going to be rewarded by first and to get the pitcher in trouble. That's kind of what it seemed like. I'm not saying that's kind of like what happened. I'm not saying Trevor Lawrence planned it out. I feel awful for Wade. Wade, I'm sorry. I'm sorry that it was unjust. And we need to do something about these officials that turn the game. I've just explained why it shouldn't happen. If you like college football, if you like seeing full teams being able to play, then you don't want this rule lowering the head before attacking by initiating forcible contact with the crown of the helmet. Are you telling, if you just go by that rule alone, now the gist is not hitting defenseless players in the neck or head region. Okay, that's the gist. By just that rule, you can say, well, with the crown of my helmet, I hit someone's foot while they were running. Should I get ejected for targeting? But by that rule, you should. Do you see how you can't, how silly that is? And how many times do running backs or receivers catch the ball and the defender trips them up by going for their legs with their crown of their helmet? So, yes, on so many different levels, you can't pick and choose when you're going to enforce a rule. This rule is usually enforced when a player launches at the head or neck region of a defenseless player. Trevor Lawrence was not defenseless, and the only reason he got hit in the head was because he lowered himself. He crouched. That's not Wade's responsibility. The reason he got hit in the head was his own fault. And, yeah, there was no launch, and he got hit in the head because it was his own fault. So, and he wasn't defenseless by no stretch of the he was carrying the ball like a running back if you look at the replay. So, to make a long story short, and I know I went into this because there's someone who's commenting on my page and he's going back and forth, and I had to just, hopefully this gets him to see the light. I'm not coming here as an Ohio State fan. I'm coming here as someone that wants to correct an injustice that occurred. This was not called targeting on the field. You had to have indisputable video evidence. This, I just explained why, and if you go replay, and guess how long it took the officials to replay it? It took like 25 to 30 seconds. This would not have been called targeting if Trevor Lawrence hadn't, gone down with an injury that he recovered from. So it shouldn't matter if a player was injured or not on the base, but that's what caused it. Anyway, that's enough of that for now. That was not target. It should not have been called targeting. Shaun Wade should not have been evicted, and I feel sorry for him. That's his last college game evicted for a bad call. So, sorry this video was a little bit longer than I thought, but wow, 17 and a half minutes. I'm sorry.